Township of Cohasset testing May 1 meeting.
Better late than
Here's
never.
a choir.
No, I'd like to start. Yeah.
I
We'll go
did
right
like
in.
them by the end.
Go right into it.
Well, I'll get through that.
All right. All right, I'll call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Express Times and Star Gazette satisfying the Open Public Meeting Act. If we could please stand for a silent prayer and flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Approval of the minutes for the March 18th, 2014 meeting. So
moved. Second.
Okay. Becker,
yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Vangelli,
Yes.
Van Loo.
I'll have to abstain.
Okay.
Just kidding, I haven't had a chance to read it.
Okay. And Kern?
Yes. Okay, for the April 1st meeting, Mary, that's the one you were not at.
Right, so I don't
Okay.
know.
I'll move those.
I'll second it.
Okay. Becker?
Where,
I think the March 18th one is the one you had the issue with.
was that the right one?
Oh, you changed it. It's no big deal.
All right. Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Vangelli? Vangelli, will you approve the April 1 meeting minutes?
There's no meeting.
No, I said, will
You
you
approve them.
approve the April 1 meeting minutes?
Yes.
Mary, you'll abstain,
And I
and
would
Mayor?
abstain.
Yes. Okay, and then April 15th was, Frank was,
Right.
okay. And I'll move those as well.
Anybody second April 15th?
I moved it. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Becker will abstain. Slack?
Yes.
Vangelli?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Abstain.
And Kern?
Yes. Okay, motion to pay the bills presented in proper form signed by the director of each department and approved by a majority of the members listed on the bill list, including the April 15th administrative bills.
I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo?
I can't vote for anything because I'm.
Yes.
Sorry, okay.
Do you want to abstain? Or-
I'll
Yeah.
have to.
Okay.
Nothing signed, I can't say.
And Vangelli, you said yes? And Mayor Kern?
Yes,
You
yes.
said yes.
Okay, public comment pertaining to agenda items. Is there any public comment on agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we can move into, let the attorney get settled in, and we'll go in the council reports first, and we'll begin with Frank.
Okay. A few things. We're going to have a presentation on the budget, so I'll leave finance to our CFO and auditor. But I think Lorraine put together a very nice presentation on the budget. We're trying to make things more transparent, and this is an excellent step in that direction. Do you want to talk about the Pohat School, or because I was going to mention what happened last night?
All you.
Okay. Jim and I went to the Pohat School Board of Education meeting last night. They are keeping their budget flat, which is admirable. Not quite sure how they're going to continue to do that, because the Phillipsburg High School is charging $1,000 more per pupil from less than 13.5 to 14.5. And they actually said that Phillipsburg High School could charge up to 16.5, but they're being nice to us, basically. So I wouldn't be surprised if future years it's going to be an uphill climb with respect to the school budget. And what was said also was that doesn't even reflect the cost of the new building there, which has got to be significant. One of the things, I know Sal has pointed this out before, that for the Phillipsburg High School, we only have one vote every third year on the Phillipsburg High School board. And so that essentially means that we have 1/27th of a count in that Phillipsburg High School board, which if I'd like to see change somehow. I'm not versed in education law, but I think it's worth looking into. The other thing that happened was they are going to send us a letter requesting that the town hold the elections at the municipal building
Where?
here. They acknowledge there could be problems with parking, so we're going to have to we will need to look into that, I guess, but I don't know. And I think, Jim, you were saying we might be able to do it at several buildings, but I think it might be very difficult.
Yeah, it would have to be bifurcated, because I think you're right, the parking situation here would be very tight, especially in a presidential election.
Right. Leaving that, the Historic and Preservation Commission has is sponsoring the Finesville Cemetery cleanup this Sunday. They're always looking for volunteers. Last year, we had about a dozen people come, and it was a nice event. It was a couple hours. If you get enough people, it just takes a couple hours to clean it all up. It's at 1 o'clock at the Finesville Cemetery. If anybody can come help, that'd be much appreciated. The Still Valley Tunnel Bridge, we have an ordinance on the agenda. Largely, I think it was Michael Margulies obtained a grant to improve the wing walls of the Still Valley Tunnel Bridge, Still Valley Road Tunnel, I should say. And I think we have an ordinance here for approving funding for $160,000 for such purpose. I think the total amount is actually a little less, 157 or so, but this will give us some cushion. But actually, 3/4 of that amount is being paid for through grants. So the town will need to come up with approximately $37,000. Other than that, with the Historic Commission, we had a proclamation for Dot Weeder's 100th birthday that the mayor signed, and I wasn't there, I was away, but I understand that it was nicely framed and she appreciated it very much. It was at her 100th birthday celebration itself. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Frank. Dave?
I don't have a whole lot to report on DPW-wise. Jeff, how did the township fare after yesterday's rains and water? A lot of problems throughout or not? Pretty well. Most trains were all right.
I was amazed at Creek Road. I mean, Creek Road almost always flooded in the past. It was
Good, good.
There you
Environmental Commission, I was actually absent from the meeting, so I can't really give a report. I defer to Dr. Hernandez if he would be so kind as to give us a brief overview maybe of what was discussed. Not that I don't want to put you on the spot here, Doc, but...
Tyler are in charge. The garden will be self-governed, so that they will set up their rules. They already have volunteers, church, that's interested in participating, so that project is going forward well. We also discussed a environmental award, have no monetary value. We're in the process of coming up with a letter that will congratulate someone that is engaged in environmentally friendly activity, but that's still in the works. Something or anything else that's coming.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate it. That's all I have here.
Good, thank you,
Want
Dave.
to comment on the land use meeting briefly? Your time,
Yeah, I will.
Good.
Mary?
There's a couple of issues. We need to take a look at our pet ordinance and as well as dogs and cats. Because there's starting to be a problem with cats, feral cats, over in, I guess, the Shimer area. And part of it's due to people feeding them. So we'll have to take a look at that. And there's one other issue at least we need to, but I won't comment on that.
Good?
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Okay. Sal?
I thought we were just going to have a budget meeting. Other than that, the Rec Association, they're working real hard. We have leaks in some of the buildings. We're going to put roofs on some of the buildings at no charge to the town. So we'll take it from there, okay?
Okay. Have you seen the dugouts at Crestwood?
Yes, I
They're very
have.
nice. They came out very nice.
Chanting the fences up?
Oh, we gotta get that fence up, because the balls, there's a space between the top of the fence and the top of the roof, and the balls come whizzing right into the dugouts. So we have that to fix.
Yeah.
Sonny, did they give you a time frame when they could do that? Okay.
I don't know
Fence
whether it's
company.
in the budget or not. I don't
It
know.
was.
I'm not spending any money whatsoever.
Great. All right. Thank you, Sal.
I would like to say, Sal, I think the buildings are starting to look cleaner around.
Thank you.
I think it looks like you're working with Mr. Corsi is helping, because I see things starting to get cleaned up. Which is
Where?
good. I don't know. I assumed it was because of you, but
Well,
by 519, the one house there, they had a dumpster.
Oh, I'm working real
Mhm.
hard. I had a guy gonna duke it out with me. Tell you what,
You have to follow him. Have a police escort for him.
sometimes it gets rough and tough.
Hold your ground, Sal. Hold your ground.
No, I'm not gonna hold my ground. I'll be in jail.
Tell them it's Senior Citizens Month.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Sal. To piggyback on Dave about the land use meeting, there was an issue brought up that I don't know, Mary, if it came from you or not, about the generators that Joe Rossi had approached us about.
Yeah.
Did he send that to you? The land use board, I guess, was looking for direction. So I think what we should do is have Mr. Rossi go to the land use board and explain his position on it,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Oh, he's here on Tuesday night.
It's-
They do have a Tuesday night.
Yeah,
that's
so,
perfect.
yeah, so no action was taken on that. I know that there was some, research done on it and some sample ordinance.
Draft ordinance.
Yeah, from Bridgewater,
I
there
sent
was,
a sample down there.
yeah, but I don't think the board wanted to move until they heard testimony from him necessarily, so that,
Sure.
I will, I guess if you want to ask him to come to the next land use meeting, or I will, but we'll,
It's a Wanda pack. Doesn't matter who asks. As long as somebody does.
Okay, great.
Before you go any further, Mayor, I had wanted to write a letter to the borough of Alpha if they would let us tap into their water line and sewer line.
For Crestwood? For the park up there?
Yeah. But
You haven't heard?
we'll wait till they, answer the letter.
Okay. That's good. Okay, I will need 10 minutes tonight in executive session. You all have a letter for me that's marked up confidential, but we'll need to go over that because I have some developments on that, so I want to give everyone an update on that. The other thing is I have been in contact with Fred Rossi, who is the owner of Club Metro in Pohat, and he and I had been talking. We are going to, there's a program in New Jersey called the Mayor's Wellness Program, which I had brought up a couple months ago, and Fred and I finally got to talk about it, and what we're going to do is on June 7th have a 30-day contest, if you will, for the township to encourage them to not only lose weight, but to develop healthy lifestyles. His business is going to be doing all of this charge-free for the community. They're going to be partnering with a lot of businesses, so we're going to try to get the word out on that. But it's a very important issue when you look at the statistics for New Jersey and the obesity and the lifestyle that not only adults are living, but children. So if we can have a not mandated form of change, but to show them, and really I discussed this with the school and they're really interested, the rec program's interested, and I think I've talked to some local businesses that are interested in getting their employees involved. So that's going to be June 7th is going to be the kickoff for that, and it's going to go till right before July 4th, so that if people want to kind of have a vacation from their restrictions, that'll be okay. But that'll be in June 7th, and I hope to have more information on that in the coming days. And other than that, I have nothing else. So
One other thing, Rustic Acres has been preserved.
oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I talked to them the other day, too. County. Yeah.
So, that land, that farm now is preserved.
Great.
Picking up on the land use, I noticed that there were public comments. I think that's commendable. I'm glad they went back. I hope they keep them.
Yeah, I think we're as long as we're going to make sure that there is a form of public comment on that agenda. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. I guess we'll go into the attorney's report. If you have anything, you really don't have anything for public.
No, Mayor, mostly between the last meeting and this meeting, we're preparing to file the respondent's brief in the Pagano appeal. So it's been going through those transcripts and trial briefs and submission of the Pagano's attorney. This is with respect to the reimbursement of Officer Pagano's legal fees. So the trial court had denied those fees, which are quite substantial. I think about $175,000 for legal fees they're looking for. They've appealed that, so their briefs are in. Our briefs are due, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. So that's really been most of my focus for the township. So hopefully the appellate division will sustain the trial court decision. I would note the trial court decision was actually rendered by Judge O'Connor, who was actually elevated to the appellate division.
Really?
So,
Would you have to recuse yourself from?
yeah, she wouldn't be able to hear her own appeal, but I think I've read her opinion. I think it's well reasoned, and they actually had a trial at the lower court level where Pagano had to testify again, and I think it's a supportable decision. So, but it's obviously important to the township because there's a lot of money at stake. So we're trying to make sure we do the best job we can on that. Other than that, it's pretty quiet there. Pretty quiet right now. I did. Gwen's not here tonight. We are trying to finalize. Gwen and I are trying to finalize the dedication of West Boulevard. A final inspection has been done. We're pretty close there. That should be. Probably should have that deed here for the next meeting, I would think, to be accepted. I'll do a resolution in that regard. I understand they're pretty close with the county as well. I don't know where that puts them in terms of the Quaker stake.
They've broken ground. I mean, they've started construction, so.
So that seems to be fine with, log jam seems to have broken.
Yeah, that's great. You know, you reminded me too, yesterday they released the new COA formula, but I don't think anyone has really been able to grasp what it means yet. So it's kind of.
I got the advisory probably that we all got from League of Municipalities and everything, but yeah, I don't think really anybody's digested that yet.
No, I can't figure it out,
Yeah.
honestly. And then also, just to follow up as well, at our last meeting we had the study for the Route 22 corridor, and our legislative representatives, Senator Doherty, Assemblyman DeMayo, and Peterson, sent a letter to the commissioner of the DOT supporting that change. So that's always nice to have, those folks helping us out, because sometimes that moves things ever so quickly. Trend.
One other thing I can report on as well, I did speak with Dave. You had called me on this because the TCI's site manager, calls and badgers one of you periodically. Dave, I think.
Twice I talked to him.
But just so you know, I mean, our architect is in discussions directly with Jim Stiles, who owns the company.
Good.
So know that they do have a complete punch list. Know that the last major thing I think we're really going to be exploring is we've got the thermographic imaging study complete at this point, and so sometime in the near future they're going to be actually drilling holes in about 12 to 15 sections of this sheetrock with a special drill that can, if there's insulation there, it will grab it. So we're either going to find that there is no insulation there, or there's damp insulation, or maybe that the insulation fell. So that's one of the pieces to this building's puzzle, the moisture and the coldness and everything. So that's going to be the next step on that. And Jay Parentoni did indicate that really what we need to do sometime in the near future is to consider taking action on that proposal to get the HVAC system evaluated. You don't have to do that tonight, but maybe next meeting. But so we are continuing to move forward. I think you guys, when I wasn't here last meeting, approved the proposals to clean.
Yeah.
That we got. Okay, so those have been taken care of. So, and we're trying to methodically work our way through the
Our punch list.
our punch list and the experts we've hired, being RK Environmental and SSP Architecture. So I just wanted to give the public that report.
I shouldn't have to field any more calls from Ben than he should.
You don't have to field those calls, Dave. You really, he's just badgering you. And as I said, things he tells you are just simply completely inaccurate. And our architect has indicated that the owner of the company recognizes that some of these things are their responsibility. There is a final payment that'll be due at some point here, but we have better offsets and
Right.
some electrical bills we got to make sure that they paid, and all that type of thing. But we're getting close. I'm hoping to get them closed out of here in June. Turn our attention to getting a maintenance bond posted, and then turn our attention really, I think the last piece of the puzzle, everybody feels, including RK Environmental, that getting the HVAC system under control. And if for some reason that was over-designed or misdesigned, we can focus our attention there. But that I think is going to be the last piece of the puzzle for this building.
It'd be a big piece.
It'll be a big piece, and it might be expensive, so we may be looking to other parties at some point as to why this happened. But that's where we are in the building. I just want to give a brief update on that.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, we'll move these resolutions, then we'll get into our budget presentation. So does anyone have any objection to taking them all together?
I'll move them all.
Second.
Becker,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Lou, and Jelly.
Wait a minute.
Wanda?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I stayed on the thing that is to, no, I guess. 'cause I'm done.
You're done, you're okay with that? Okay. Okay, so Vangelia, are you saying yes or no on the resolutions?
The resolutions.
Wait a minute. Now, hearing and adoption of the 2014 budget.
That's,
No, we're
that's
on resolutions first.
resolution, Sal.
First page.
Okay.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay. Hearing and adoption of the 2014 budget. I turn to you.
Everybody has a little bit of patience with this because normally I just sit in my corner and talk about a handout. On the big screen. So if anybody wants any extra copies, I have 3.
Should I move my chair? Can you guys,
Well, we got a copy here. We got a copy here.
Yeah, but is he blocking?
am I blocking everybody or no? Can you guys see them?
Can you see over us?
There you go.
Wanted to thank Wendy. She was good enough to set all this up for me because my daughter was not able to teach me this today. So it's not in PowerPoint. It's in a PDF. So I'm sorry. I'll have to scroll. This is something that's new for Pohatcong Township. As Councilman Becker commented, we're trying to make everything a little bit more transparent and make our budget not so much user-friendly, but able to be understood a little easier. So this just touches, hopefully very briefly, on where the money that we collect goes. On our first page, it shows where our taxes that we collected in 2013 actually went. In New Jersey, we're very unique in a lot of situations that the local municipality collects taxes for not only our own use, but also for the county and the school. In 2013, we were charged with collecting almost $12.6 million. Out of that, you can see that about $6 million, a little over $6 million, which represents almost 48% of that budget. I'm sorry, not the budget, but out of the monies that we were charged to collect goes to the school. A very small portion, 29%, stays in Pohatcong Township so that we can fund all of our local operations. That's a really pretty pie chart so everybody can see how nice it looks. Out of the money that we collect for ourselves, that $3.6 million, we fund our local municipal budget. Our entire budget for Pohatcong Township is almost $6.4 million. Out of that $6.4 million, about 33% or $2.1 million goes towards our salaries and wages. That's just the amount that we actually pay out to paychecks. That doesn't include all the subordinate costs like pension and employment taxes. About 25% of our budget goes towards operational expenses. What I'd like to call your attention to on this is there's an item of appropriation called Reserve for Uncollected Taxes. That's what's called a non-spending appropriation. And since the local municipality collects taxes for the county and the school, everybody has to have a balanced budget, and the municipality has to pay to the county and the school 100% of what their levy is. So when someone doesn't pay their taxes or doesn't pay their taxes on time, we're not only out the 29% of the money that we collect, but we're out the other 71% that goes to the school and the county. That creates, in my opinion, an unfair burden on the municipality because then we're out that money. What the state requires is that we have this non-spending appropriation called the Reserve for Uncollected Taxes, and it acts like an allowance for doubtful accounts. That $660,000 is $660,000 more than what we actually need to operate our municipality. We have to charge that much more to make up for the people that don't pay their taxes or pay their taxes late. So the biggest way that you could influence your local taxes is to encourage your friends and neighbors to pay their property taxes on time, and then that $660,000 could be decreased. That's 10% of our budget that goes just towards that non-spending appropriation.
Lorraine, what's the statutory?
Oh, I'm sorry. The statutory appropriations are made up of the police and fire pension contribution, the public employees contribution, and all of our employment taxes.
Thank you.
All right, and while you're on it, just the uncollected taxes, how do you come up with that figure?
It's a really interesting calculation. It's based on your percent, and correct me if I'm straying. It's based on the collection percentage from the year prior and how much the school and the county taxes are. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, you're doing good.
All right, thanks.
Bill, the one thing maybe we may, as I just said to the mayor, I'm going to look into with our tax collector. If we have any significant tax sale certificates that we're holding, we foreclose those, we might be able to bring that number down a little bit. But I think we get tagged for those, don't we, Bill?
Well, obviously, anything that goes to lien comes out of our collection percentage, so we're not getting the money.
Right.
When that money comes in, if you foreclose it, then we don't get the money in unless we sell the property.
Right.
So that, then when we sell the property, then we can put it.
Well, even if we foreclose and end up with it, then it's off the books, so at least it comes off. You know,
Yes,
you know.
but that's still not bringing in tax
Right,
revenue.
right.
We don't want to sit on an inventory of that. We want
Right.
to turn around and sell it.
Right. But I will look into that to see if there's anything. There might, that's a pretty big number. So sometimes there is a couple that are worth foreclosing on.
Well, now Perry just had a tax sale, right?
Well, yeah, but once you
Upcoming.
get the
We didn't have it yet.
certificate, what happens is when you hold a certificate, unless you actually file a tax foreclosure, the reserve fund collected taxes on that certificate keeps accruing. So if you foreclose it, and again, a lot of times these are like de minimis pieces, if you know, 0.3 of an acre or something. So there's a
Right.
lot that you kind of brush off. But with that kind of a number, what I'm saying is there might be a couple decent ones that we should foreclose. So I'll look into that one there.
The municipal liens are normally charged off to the municipality because no one else bids on them, because it would be an unattractive property for whatever reason. So while a municipality doesn't want to be a landlord, we would want to get those right back on the tax rolls as soon as possible. So if you foreclose, you want to be sure that you take ownership of that. So if it's a brownfield or a negative impact property, you don't really want to own it. It's not necessarily bad to just let it sit out there and continue to accrue interest. Our next couple of pages go into just a little bit more detail. This first one is just a basic review of our salary. Out of this almost $6.4 million budget that we have, the 33%, $2.1 million for our salaries is made up of these basic departments. I don't want to throw police under the bus, but normally in a municipality, the police is the largest portion of the budget. They have a very labor-intensive job. They're the largest employing department in the town, so it would make sense that their labor cost is greater than the other departments.
I don't want to throw town council under the bus either. That I saw in a comment online that they're complaining about the $10,000 last year for the mayor and council. That's for all of us. It's $2,000 per person.
$1,000 a year now.
Right. That's for all of them. As in the police budget, the 65% of our labor costs.
It's not just Chief
for
Green.
all- Right. That's for all the police in the department and the secretary, the matron call-outs. That's for any labor charges that the police department would pay. The next highest one is 12% to our Department of Public Works. Public Works is unique in that it's split between our sewer utility and our current fund budget. This is just their current fund budget. As you can see, the finance department is less than 2% of labor costs for your municipality. You guys get a good deal there.
You got that right below two, didn't you?
This is just a pie chart demonstrating the above. The other largest ticket item in our municipality is our operational expenses. That is the 25% of our total budget. The $1.6 million is made up of these individual departmental appropriations. Important to note here is the largest one is our group insurance. That is made up of the medical insurance. The Township of Cohasset does try to, I don't want to say subsidize, but tries to go through every method they possibly can to decrease the cost to our taxpayers for the medical insurance for the employees. The employees this year is the 4th year in the state's plan, so some of us will be contributing, well, I don't get medical here, but some employees will be contributing up to 35% of the cost of their plan. Also, the township does have a partial self-insurance that helps decrease the overall cost of the insurance. The next highest is the departmental operations, which is all of the departments not listed there. It's the finance, the clerk, the every department that's not listed there, every function that the municipality provides. The utilities are made up of our electric, our street lighting, the water costs. Did you have a question, Sal?
I want the lights off. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Will that help? Does that make it better?
Everybody's going to fall asleep now. The pie chart below just demonstrates the above costs. Just one more thing to point out, the court budget looks incredibly high for the size of the actual department. That includes all the monies that the township pays to the red light vendor for all the tickets that are written out of that program. The next slide combines all of the departments, and it combines the labor cost and the operational cost. I'm not quite sure where that category name went. I think that was capital. All the departments are represented here. Some of the departments that are less than 1% are listed on the far side because their expense really doesn't show up on the pie chart very much. Our next slide shows all of the departments that had a change of $10,000 or more. One thing I would like to point out is that the clerk salary and wage line item and the land use salary and wage line item were kind of offsetting. There was an employee that was shifted in just pay from department to department in 2013. In 2014, it's going back to the appropriate budget way, the correct way, I'll call it. So that accounts for those two moves. The other large changes were in the contractual line item for the police salaries and wages, the group insurance that we spoke of, and capital. A large decrease was in the $180,000 that we had funded in 2013 that we no longer had to fund in 2014 for the tax appeals. The state of New Jersey requires that all municipal budgets are balanced, so the same $6.4 million almost that we said we were going to spend, we also have to raise. This just gives a little bit of information as to where our money comes from. Almost 60% of our budget is offset by our taxpayers. That is a pretty large reliance, but I don't think it's necessarily unfounded. I think most municipalities have a large reliance on local property tax.
In Warren County.
In Warren County, yeah, probably statewide. I would say it's pretty normal to rely on property tax for your.
I'm a citizen.
Yeah, there's a few I can think of that.
Oh, okay.
I'd be killing for their state aid.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little different. We are using about 18% of our revenue this year is coming in from the surplus we're anticipated. All the other, I just messed that up. All of the other revenue is detailed a little bit more in the next couple of pages here. Historically, our property taxes for 2014, we're anticipating almost just a little bit more than what we anticipated in 2011. In 2012, it actually decreased from 2011. It remained static in 2013. In 2014, we have increased just a little bit. One of the things that we do control is the levy, which is the amount that we ask the taxpayers to contribute to support the budget. What we don't control is the assessed valuation, which is the total of all property. That fluctuates, I don't want to say wildly, but it does fluctuate year to year, and that's what the tax rate is actually based on. It's based on the amount of money that we need to support our budget as a multiple of the actual assessed valuation. For 2013, the tax rate was $3.49 per 100 of assessed valuation. That was based on an assessed valuation overall of $360 million. When that assessed valuation fluctuates, it affects our tax rate. So even though we're asking for right around what we asked for in 2011, your tax rate could vary based on what the assessed valuation is.
It's likely, the percentage is likely to go up.
That is correct.
Because the assessed valuation is going down from 360 million to 349 or so, largely due to the Phillipsburg Mall tax appeal. So.
Our next page, I think is missing. This gives us a little bit of detail on our historical use of surplus. In 2011 and 2012, we anticipated the same amount. In 2012, our balance is $2.1 million at the end of the year. We had a huge, huge regeneration of surplus this year, which I believe was due to the red light cameras and the huge inflow of revenue that came from that. In 2013, we anticipated using, and we did use, a much larger part of our budget revenue coming from our surplus. In 2014, we're using a little over, well, almost $1.1 million. If we did not regenerate any surplus in the course of 2014, that would leave us with about $790,000 at the end of the year. We do anticipate regenerating some surplus, and we would hope to get back to the $1.1 million that we began the $1.9 million that we began the year at, but we probably will not be able to regenerate all of that. Our next page goes into just a little bit of the history of our state aid. The state, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 15 or more, took over the collection of a local revenue that was energy tax. The local electric companies used to pay to the municipality a certain portion of their revenue, similar to how the cable companies do now. The state, in their infinite wisdom, thought, hey, we'll collect that for you because it's such a burden, and then we'll pay it back to you, but we're going to call it state aid. So you can see our figures of energy receipts has increased, I don't want to say dramatically, but maybe $20,000 from 2011 to 2014, but the amount of true state aid has decreased by 2/3. We went from 31,000 down to 11,000. That's the actual amount of state aid that the state helps to fund our municipal operations. There are a couple of other miscellaneous revenues that the township collects. They're all relatively small, except for court. We have interest on our investments, court fees, and licenses. Our court fees, as you can see, have increased dramatically from 2011 to 2014 based on our red light collection. The other municipal budget that we have is our sewer utility fund budget. And
can you just go back to those the fees from court? That $500,000 was the budget amount last year.
correct.
The actual amount was something like $838,000, and we didn't even have a full year's worth of license plate reader in there. That's why we felt comfortable increasing the court fees in the budget to $825,000. It seems like a rather big jump, but it's not that big a jump when you look at the actual experience.
That it looks like it's not, but that's still really a conservative number. We should be collecting much more than that with the full year of the license plate reader in 2014.
Thank you.
So our sewer utility budget is just almost $837,000. It's a pretty simplistic budget compared to our current fund budget. We have about 12% of the monies collected that go towards salaries and wages, and almost 72% go towards the actual operation of the sewer utility. Out of the operational expenses, that $604,000 is spent as shown here. Almost 83% of that goes to Phillipsburg for the treatment of the sewage that Cohasset Township generates. We have a small amount that goes towards auditing, towards the state-required licensed operator, and then general operations and maintenance.
We also pay Alpha.
No.
Alpha as well.
Yes. Yep. Alpha actually bills 90 residents of Waxahachie Township for water. The other half of the utility budget is revenues, which is really straightforward. Almost 90% of the budget is based on the sewer user fees. We use a very small portion of anticipated revenues from surplus. And the last page is just a look at our historical figures for the revenues in the sewer utility. The amount of money that's been collected over the past 5 years has been relatively static. It's not a large variation between $750,000 and $820,000. The surplus use is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's offsetting any kind of increases in fees by stabling out the amount of money that the budget would need to be balanced. There is a small amount of unanticipated revenues. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head what that's made up of, but it would be delinquent interest and account interest and relatively small, maybe tap-in fees or something like that. And that was it.
I think, I think we didn't increase the sewer rates even after Phillipsburg increased them to us.
Right, I
We
think
didn't
last
increase
year
them
was-
to the residents. That's, the fund absorbed that increase.
Right, it's
Because
self-liquidating.
we were building up pretty good surpluses anyway, so we didn't feel the need to increase the rate for the citizens, for the residents, even though Phillipsburg charged more.
Wendy, how do I shut this off? Just minimize it?
Okay, is anyone have any questions for Lorraine at this moment?
It was an excellent job. I really appreciate it. I think it.
We need to open this up for a public hearing at this point, though. I think we need a motion to open it for a hearing, open the hearing,
Yes, for public comment.
and then
I'll
we,
move that.
Second?
Okay, Becker,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Van Loo,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
and Mayor Kern.
Yes. Is there any public comment on the municipal budget? If you have any, please sign in. Do I have a motion to, is it close and adopt?
Yes.
Close
I
and
move that we close public comment and adopt this budget for 2000.
Can we just, I just want to, Bill is here, and he's been very helpful in the auditing process and has had good suggestions. I just want his stamp of approval.
Well, definitely, well, Lorraine went into very in-depth detail of the budget, where we're at the largest portion of the increase, 3.6 of the 5.7 increase is because of loss of ratables. If we didn't have that, we'd be going up less than $3 a month on the average home. So we only asked for a 2% increase in actual tax dollars from last year. The drop of ratables that we divided into is the reason for the largest portion of the increase.
hopefully we will be addressing some of that as years go by. I mean, the old Walmart property will be coming online as a rateable.
Very
Just
soon.
by the way, is for the public's benefit, even with the mall property, while its assessment was reduced, that reduced assessment will be taxed at this higher levy, so they will be paying a little bit. They're not locked into a fixed tax bill, if you will. And as they improve, I think they're before the board, aren't they, with some things? Land use board. So as they improve that mall, that hopefully that rateable will also come back.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, who is the second to close and adopt then?
We got to it.
I'll move it.
You
It was
moved.
moved, and is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay, Becker,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Van Loo,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Mayor Kern.
Yes. All right. Again, just to echo what Frank was saying, I think this was a phenomenal budget presentation from you, Lorraine, and Bill, as always. You're both do a phenomenal job for us, and we look forward to doing it again next year. I say tongue in cheek.
You'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, it will.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion? Does anyone have an objection to taking these ordinances separately?
No, I would do them both for first reading.
Second.
Okay, Becker,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Vangelli,
Yes.
Van Loo, yes, and Mayor Kern.
Yes.
And that second reading will be May 20th.
May 20th, public hearing. Okay, motions. Before we do that, Chief, what would be the fees that Alba Vineyard would be charged, do you think,
As far as
for the Mother's Day Food and Wine Fest?
for the police coverage,
Yeah,
I believe we requested 5 hours, and we charge $82.50 an hour. 5 or 6 hours we requested.
does any other business request the police other than Walmart for things like that?
Periodically, especially for those construction companies. If they know they need to put out a road or something like that, but as far as the businesses in the town, they get used to how.
Kevin, is there precedent for doing some type of way to waive fees for businesses after a certain, if we, I'd like to work with them on that because it's a, it's a small number, but anyway, we can help them in the future if we could try to draft something, some type of,
Well, I understand what you're saying, but it's not like a one-time deal.
no, if there was a way,
Have a festival, they use our police.
no, but I'm saying if there was a way that they incorporate, yeah, if there was a way that somehow they could incorporate township residents somehow, and then that way we can offer them a deal on police coverage, I think that'd be mutually beneficial for everyone. That's something I need to talk to him about. But that's just,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm worried about the precedent. It is a profit-making enterprise, right?
yeah.
I mean,
We put that ordinance on the books probably about, 6, 7 years ago, about it, right, Chief, I think. That's not that old an ordinance, and I think that ordinance was in response to some issues we were having. Wasn't really with Alba per se, but there were events, and I think the ordinance does already exempt all volunteer events and things of that nature. So, and it does exempt things like the graduation party and things of that nature, but there was a period of time, for whatever reason, where we were getting some of these larger events that were creating problems, and so the whole procedure was to make sure that our police got a heads-up application and they could at least review it and see whether we were going to require some coverage there. But let's talk to them about it, I guess.
It just always seemed that, when it was bid for nothing, they were requesting also out there.
a lot of different things, right?
A lot of different things, longer. You'd be here an hour and a half before the event, an hour and a half after.
Wasn't there a discussion around that Pumpkin Fest thing too? Crossing guard for the train at the pumpkin thing or something like
Oh.
that?
You talk about over there on,
By Snyder's.
Carpenter, yeah, down there.
Yeah, I'm afraid, if it's free, everybody's gonna ask for it, whether it's absolutely necessary or not.
especially with that particular, down at Alvin's, like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot of people who are drinking. There's a lot of people that are crossing the road. And that road down there is bad. So we try and we get the cars out there, we get the cones out there, we get the officers down there. A lot of times it's paying for one officer, but when they're letting out, there's 2 or 3 down there. We'll go down there, working the road, we'll come out and help out. Area down there.
I can understand it too, that somebody who doesn't have anything to do with the things that they have at Elba might resent the fact that our police would be there, and their tax dollars would have to pay for that. Because it's a money issue with Elba.
Yeah, but it's good for the township too. That's I can see both sides of it. I think I just would like to look at do you still have a copy of the ordinance from when it was introduced? I'd like to look at it, just for the future. Okay. All right, but for now, I mean, does anyone have an issue taking these all together? Did you move it? I might have.
Maybe I did.
No, I think we did.
Okay.
I will move it.
Second?
Okay, Becker,
Yes.
and, I'm sorry, Slack,
Yes.
Vangelli,
Yes.
Van Loo, and Mayor Kern.
Yes. Okay, public comment. Does anyone have any general public comment? So sign in up front.
Enrique Hernandez, River Road. A couple of days ago, this flyer was placed in Councilman Becker's mailbox. A letter flyer, first part says insurance fraud on the front. And my question was whether any other members of council or the mayor had received a similar flyer. Basically what this is all about me, and this is the reason I'm raising this issue here. This is about a fight I had with an insurance company dating back a decade ago when I was in medical practice. And this flyer has been edited and whited out to put me in the worst light possible. Anyone who knows who's picked a fight with an insurance company knows that they play hardball, and sometimes they use dirty pool. And what happened is I had a fight with this insurance company. They accused me of insurance fraud, fought, and eventually the case is settled civil. Money changes hands, but I did have to pay a penalty to the state. So now this information is being placed anonymously in the mailbox of a politician, of a town politician, and one of my first questions was whether the other politicians had gotten it, and I see the answer to that as no. But I see this as a form of blackmail or some attempt at diminishing my standing and my ability to engage in the politics of the town. And so I want to make this statement not for council but for these blackmailers. I want to say that there is these two-bit candy-ass cowards who place anonymous flyers in mailboxes are not going to intimidate or scare my family. They're not going to push us around. They're not going to change where we live, how we live, or how we manage our property. Thank you. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Kevin Melvin, Winters Road. I also want to compliment our CFO on the presentation. I think that was very well done. We may want to consider having that accessible on the website so that others who may not be privy to being here this evening can see the information being shared and the air of transparency that yourself and the board is putting out to the township.
Lorraine and I discussed that right before this meeting. And,
But aren't we televised anyway? Aren't we recorded?
Yeah, but you want
there's a document you can put on the
I
website.
actually just sent it over, so it'll be up tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay, so this is not showing up in the.
It would, but you wouldn't be able to see it.
Oh, okay.
So my second comment is discussed and touched upon a little bit earlier with regard to the land use board and the public comment. I too want to commend the land use board for bringing back public comment to the agenda items. My area of concern lies with the land use policies and procedures that are being discussed currently and up for discussion amongst the land use board themselves. My concern is that any policies and procedures that are going to potentially impact the bylaws for land use in PHATCOM should be made available prior to adoption by executive session. And so I want to encourage the members of the land use board on this committee, as well as I will continue to speak out at the land use board, that those rules and procedures that are going to be policy on how we govern our land use for PHATCOM should be made available for public review and for input before adoption by an executive session. So just wanted to pass that opinion on, especially again, it's something that's going to impact public policy and potential bylaws, I think, should have and continue with the air of transparency seen here tonight with the budget, so that those constituents that may have an interest in those type of items have the ability to provide comment back to the board.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we do need a brief 5-minute executive session for contractual.
Okay.
Would that be, for the letter I showed you, would that be contractual?
Oh.
Contractual?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So 5 minutes for contractual, and no action will be taken.
Need a motion and a second and go on there.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I was going to say somebody else want a second.
Lorraine, oh, thank you. Sign, seal, and ready to be-
Board now, it's
For a
professionally named.